Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the first edition of Artist Alchemy for 2021. YubaSutterArts&Culture's 40-year anniversary. More on that later, but we're delighted to be here this afternoon. Artist Alchemy is a show where we bring together artists and creatives and other culture leaders just to talk about that kind of magic, making creative things happen. Our special guest today is none other than our good friend James Ochsner, who's the Director of Library Services for Sutter County. Welcome, James. Great to see you.
Thanks, David. It's good to be here.
Oh my gosh, it's been way too long. God, just amazing, just amazing. How are you doing? What's changed other than everything
Right.
in your daily routine? Talk about how it's going for you
Yeah.
and the library.
Well, it's been really different. Obviously, with a public library, public is something that you count on seeing, right? So that's been pretty difficult. We do curbside service, so there's some contact with the public. People can still order whatever they want online, and we have pickup places at our branches, and now we're using the museum as a pickup place for the things that people order for the titles that they want. But yeah, it's not the same not having the public here, and just kind of trying to distance from the staff and a lot of Zoom meetings and Teams meetings, and yeah.
Have you been able to maintain full staffing?
We still have our full staff. They're just spread out all over, either at home or at a branch, or this building's pretty big. So.
And remind me, you have, is it 3 branches?
Well, yeah, our main branch here in Yuba City, and then a branch in Sutter and a branch in Live Oak.
The Live Oak, which I know well. So tell me about the museum piece. Have you had to move part of your collection there, or is it strictly a pickup location?
Right. So the only thing that we've moved over there is are the request items. So when people request something online, it comes to our main library still to our back door. We process things there, and then we take them over to the museum to be picked up. So
you're trying to keep people away from Yuba City?
Well, we're getting ready to do a renovation, so
because of the remodel. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to use our front door or anything like that. So we're just that's going to be open only for the contractor to park all their vehicles. So we just are kind of starting early, training people to go to the museum instead of here.
Okay.
And so by the time the work actually starts here, people will already know that the museum's where to go.
When I first saw that on Facebook, I think about the pickup location at the museum. I'm picturing van loads of books going over there, and because I knew you had the remodel coming up,
right.
And I think, oh my gosh, Jessica will just. What does she think about that? But okay, it's just a pickup location.
Yeah, Jessica's very careful about her property there.
She should be. I know, absolutely. Well, if you don't mind, since you brought it up, and that was certainly going to be a part of the conversation, talk about the remodel. I remember being at one of the city council meetings or county council meetings over a year and a half ago, when we still had in-person meetings, and hearing a little bit about it. It looked pretty extensive. Can you kind of give an overview of the remodel?
Right. So it's been quite a few years in progress, just getting things in place. And of course, a lot of the work is going to be made possible from impact fees that were collected by Yuba City, the city of Yuba City. So that's the main part of the funding for this project is coming from the city of Yuba City. And we basically are trying to expand service to the public. And so that means, along with expanding service, expanding square feet. We can't really build onto this building because our location doesn't really allow it.
I was wondering, you can't go a lot in any direction, can you?
Right. So what we're doing is we're actually taking square feet from our back room. As time has gone on, there used to be, when this building opened, there were 25 staff in the building. And now we run it with maybe 6 to 8 people here would be the most on a normal day. And so we just don't need as much space back here as we used to. And with so many files online, we don't need the storage space. So we're just going to repurpose the space and turn it into public space. So.
It's so cool back there, though, when you've taken me back there and shown me the books of photographs for different projects, and it's kind of magical. But I can see it being repurposed would be probably a better use.
Right, and you should see it now because we've moved all of the books from the front of the public area of the library. They're all in the back room now. We've moved all the shelving and the books, and it's just we have these narrow little stacks so that we can still find things. And we're going to continue to pull requests from people from the collection that way.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Is the children's room still intact, or has that been
no, that's been moved as well? So we have that whole front area is pretty much empty. There's still some furnishing sitting around, but it's mostly no books left out there.
Any changes to the exterior of the building as part of the remodel?
No, I mean, we're hoping to have it just spruced up a bit, but there'll be a little bit of work by the front door and getting our doors refurbished because the doors are historic, and they have the carvings in the panels on the front.
That's right.
Yeah, just beautiful doors, but they are really showing their wear and tear. So,
is the original building like the 60s vintage, 60s or 70s?
Built in 1971.
71. Okay.
Right, and so when we were working with the designers for this project, we didn't want to do something like, try to disguise that it was built in the 70s. Instead, it was just kind of take that and run with it. We're not ashamed that we have a building from 1971. So let's just keep that vibe, So they're doing kind of a little bit of a mid-century modern 1970s kind of feel to the way that they've designed our new desk and the furnishings and stuff like that.
So this is our 40th. This is your 50th for that building, huh? That's
right.
Kind of, I know the institution has existed long before that, but that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I was talking to Linda Baker today. She's the president of our Friends group, and she said this year is also the Friends 40th anniversary. So
we got to have a huge party later this year.
We really should.
We'll help organize. Oh my gosh. Well, that's exciting. So it'll make the inside of the library. Will it all look new, or just certain areas?
Well, new carpet.
Okay.
And shelving. Some of the shelving will be the same. I'm actually in process of writing a grant right now to replace some of the shelving, and also to get some more, maybe some different furnishings and technology for our innovation center. That'll be kind of the middle of this new remodel.
Right, so you're going to walk in and know something's been going on here.
Yeah.
Now, where do you go to write a grant for library shelving? I'm just curious. I'm not planning on one myself.
Well, it's like you have to write it a certain way, right? So, of course. You know about this.
I'm just learning, so help me out here.
It's it benefits the public, right? And part of what we'd like to see too is within our shelving is like lower shelving that allows better sight lines, and also we'd like to add kiosks into the shelving where people can find things without having to always run back to the front desk or run back to where there's a catalog computer. So we're trying to kind of make that a little easier and look a little more streamlined. So
funny as you're saying that, for some reason I'm envisioning scenes in movies in libraries. I think somebody could put together a pretty cool little short documentary about people meeting between the shelves of the library.
Right.
I can't think of one right now, but I know there's tons of them.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we'll work on that. Well, good for you. So that'll be exciting. So when do you think they'll get started? Sounds like you're ready.
We're hoping, like, actually right now, I think I just got a text a few minutes ago. They, the board, Sutter County Board, just approved the contractor for the job.
Okay.
So today the contractor was approved, and so then work can probably start in February.
So really, I mean, it's interesting, your institution being kind of a combination of county and city. So the bulk, as you said, the bulk of the funding is coming from the city, but you're actually a Sutter County employee. Is that right?
Right. So the funding for this project is coming from the city, but our yearly budget is all county. So it's all county, and then whatever we get in grants, that's how our budget actually works. So we don't have revenue coming from the city on a yearly basis.
Okay.
It's kind of a one-time
Special situation. Yeah.
Right.
Good. Good. Those things fascinate me as I've learned more and more about them the last few years and how those sorts of things work. So other than managing remodels and pandemic crisis time distribution of materials, what in a normal sense, or what else does a director of library services do? Are you like the CEO of the library system? I mean,
Seems like I budget all the time.
budget, okay, non-stop, huh?
But I have a great staff. Some of them.
Yeah.
I advise. In a lot of ways, I advise rather than kind of supervise. Or I'm not like a manager who's like there every minute telling them what to do. They're really great at their jobs. So we meet, we talk about things, and a lot of times it's just like a stand-up meeting. We're discussing some aspect of the library, and then kind of offer suggestions and advice to each other, and then get back to work and kind of work things through that way. So a lot of things I do, I try to keep an eye on trends in libraries. I manage grants, I write grants, and then I'm usually on a couple committees, like state, like I'm on the NorthNet committee, or I just got off the NorthNet executive committee. They're like a NorthNet consortium of libraries in Northern California.
Oh, okay, of course, yeah, different trade groups, yeah.
I've been like on the Scenic conference committee. Scenic is the broadband, who provide broadband to the library. County Libraries Association. I'm currently on the Khalifa board, executive board. Their Khalifa is a group who manage state library grants, and they also provide like discounts for libraries who need different products that are library or related and that kind of thing. So, that kind of thing, I guess, is
all of the above. CEO of the library. Yeah. So I really wanted to know about this. What about the decision about what books to buy? Is that in your wheelhouse, or is that a committee thing? Or how does that work? Because I know there's this constant, pardon the term, flushing of materials. I go to your book sale and like in Yuba County, and oh my God, how can you let this go? This is one of my favorites, and I grab it for 50 cents or whatever.
Right. So we're always doing the weeding process.
Okay, not flushing, weeding. Sorry.
Weeding, flushing,
Crude term, yeah.
So a lot of public libraries at this point are holding on to like what I would call a popular collection. Mm-hmm. And so you have these well-known authors who are writing all the time, and those are the books people really want. So we do that high demand stuff all the time. And then you have your core collection that doesn't change over, and you're not weeding it out unless it gets old and damaged, and then you just replace it.
Yeah.
So if we're not getting bestsellers, then I'm reading, and other people on staff are reading. We take recommendations from the public if they want something. And one kind of cool thing that we've been doing the last few years is a program through the state library called Zip Books, where you can request that we purchase a title that you're interested in. And so we purchase it, and it gets, instead of coming to us, it goes directly to your home. And then when you're finished reading it, you give it to us.
Oh, wow.
So it's not really technically checked out to you. It's just purchased, sent to your house, and then you bring it to us. So we that way we don't have to do any of the delivery or any of that kind of stuff.
That sounds very efficient.
Yeah, and so then when people return those to us, we add most of those to our collection as well. So then we have what we would call a patron-driven collection development. So
it's just fascinating. And the whole issue of weeding out titles. What are the criteria for that? Is it if it hasn't been in circulation for a certain period of time, it's weeded out?
right. I mean, that's probably the main way that things are weeded out are if they haven't checked out for several years, then we look at it. I mean, obviously, again, if it's something that's a classic or part of a core collection, we're not going to get rid of it. But there's a lot of things that get outdated really quickly. That all these like exercise books and diet books, and I mean those just come and go so quickly. You can't keep them all. So
short shelf life. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I just it's just always interesting, and you all have such a great Friends of the Library group, and Linda and everybody else that's involved, and so active, and I'm assuming they haven't had any book sales in a while, right?
Yeah, they had a couple of them during COVID.
Were they able to still? Okay.
Right, when we went down from the purple tier to the red tier, they held 2 book sales outdoors.
Okay.
And did pretty well. But generally before COVID, they were bringing in $1,200 to $1,500 a month.
Incredible.
In book sales. So
and y'all, that's such a great collaboration that you all have with them, and
they're great people.
Love what they do. They're so passionate, and that's I had Friends of the Library where I lived in Maryland, and had a couple friends on the board, and didn't quite get it, but living here now and knowing everybody involved, it's like really important, as a kind of an adjunct to what you all do.
And they're always looking for members. So
good, thanks. Yeah, am I being voluntold? I need another board to be on.
Yeah, why not?
All right, on a special project basis, perhaps we can assist. That's exciting. We jumped kind of right into operations and the remodel, but what about you? So, like me, I don't think you grew up here. Tell us your origin story and how you wound up in YubaSutter.
Yeah, so actually my wife is from this area.
Okay.
And so then I just finished getting my bachelor's degree. Getting my degree was in bits and pieces. So I just finished my bachelor's degree.
I know the feeling, yeah.
Yeah, I took a job teaching here. And
were you a Nebraska guy originally?
Yes. Yeah. I was in Nebraska, I guess till I was like 21 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so then after that, my wife and I both were always involved in the library. Even when I was teaching, we were always involved with the Sutter Branch Library, and we'd help out. Like in the summer, if the librarian wanted a vacation or was sick, we would fill in for her, and then that just eventually turned into a full-time job here in the library. So I switched careers to the library, and then I just really loved it. It was a great place to work. I loved the public and the people here, just great people.
Nice.
And so then the director at the time, her name was Roxana Parker. She was also from Nebraska.
Oh, wow. How fun.
We didn't know each other. She said, you seem to really like this. She said, you should go get your master's degree. And then she said, I'm going to retire in a few years, kind of wink, wink.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
So I've always kind of stumbled. I always think I stumble around into things. And so I went and I got my master's degree at San Jose State. And then a few years later, just kept working under her, and she showed me kind of the ropes of budgeting and management. And I then was asked to be the director of the library after she retired. So.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. What a great story. You were groomed, in other words, for the position. That's nice to have a mentor like that who helps a young person along the way. So how long has it been at the library now?
Let's see, I started in 2007, but I've been director since 2011.
All right, but you've been there 13 years and in charge for 9, going on 10. Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Good stuff. And obviously, you like to read.
Yeah, which is interesting. I think when I was younger, I didn't as much. I read a lot of nonfiction. Like when I was a kid, I would read encyclopedias. I was not. I couldn't. It was a strange thing about me. I couldn't understand fiction.
Ah,
Um, you know, they would change characters speaking or location, and I was slow. I guess I couldn't catch on. Where are they now? Who's talking? You know.
yeah, yeah.
But I eventually learned how to read fiction, so I enjoy fiction
Hey, well,
as
good for
well.
you. Oh, that's great. What a great story. Um, I love that we've been able to collaborate over the years and some of the things that you invited us into and that we've brought to you, and you've always been so open to that collaboration and really making. I was thinking about my early days growing up in Miami, Florida, and going to the library and the summer reading program they had there. We get a sticker for every book we read, and at the end of the summer, we get some prize, probably a book. I don't remember what it was, but I grew up in a book-loving family, so it was an easy thing for me to learn to enjoy. But that was just a library. I don't remember any special events and even in my library in Maryland, I'm sure there were some things, but I was busy. I traveled a lot. But here it's like, again, under more normal circumstances, your main branch, I'm sure they do some things in Sutter and Live Oak as well, but in Yuba City is really a cultural center. And I think one of the first things you invited us to the reading with our dear friend Marcela Hernandez Castillo, a nationally known poet now and memoirist with a book on NPR's top list this last year, and local resident, and he's done some teaching for us in some of the schools for at-risk youth. Really connects, and you hosted a reading, and that's how I met him, and it was an incredible turnout. And you've known Marcelo for a long time, right? Since he was a student here.
Well, I knew. Let's see. I kind of re-recognized him.
Yeah.
Later in life, so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
After I met him as an adult, I realized, I remember you as a kid when you used to come in here. When he was a teenager or whatever.
Sure.
And so that was such a great thing to just like, oh man, that's so cool when of people who use the library for years and kind of maybe it's been a good place for them or it's had a positive influence or impact on their life, and so it was really good. His mother also is involved with the library, and also she was helping before COVID, helping our friends group with sorting books and things like that. But
nice.
Anyway, great family, and I was just really struck by his ability to just put words together the way he does, and it's just
a couple of books of poetry.
I don't have anything to do with it, but I'm proud for him.
You managed an institution that was clearly an important part of his development. He went on to Sac State for his undergrad, and then University of Michigan for his MFA, and tremendous work. And his book of poetry, Senzutle, and now his Children of the Land memoir, and he's just doing great stuff. So, and then we hosted an event with then California State Poet Laureate Dana Gioia,
right,
and Jonathan Kinsman, who was our poet laureate at the time, and for Yuba Sutter, and again another. I mean, I don't know. I think about a poetry reading, you get a couple people, you're doing good. I think we had 80 or 85 people that evening, and it was just fantastic. And in that setting, it's just really great.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've had some really good events with you that have drawn a nice crowd, and it's funny because sometimes I talk to other librarians about public events they hold, and they always we can't get people to come unless we give them pizza, or it's like trying to feed people in order to get them to come to a library event.
Yeah, it works for us with Poetry Out Loud, the Poetry Pizza Party. Unfortunately, not this year, but generally speaking, a little bribery helps. But if you're not a poetry geek by nature, then whatever it takes to make that initial introduction. So,
right.
No, but it's very heartwarming to see that kind of attendance. I think we've held concerts there.
Right.
Brilliant string quartets performed, and another one of my favorites. You allowed us to use the community room for one of our pop-up studios when we did our Portraits of Veterans project a couple of years ago, where we invited veterans in the community to come in, have their portrait taken. And then a couple months later, we actually used the library, the public space, for a display area to put up some of the large 20 by 30 enlargements that we created of those veterans. So I think people came in to see those portraits. They may or may not have checked out any books or looked at the collection, but another, community kind of oriented event. Yeah. It was very meaningful for a lot of people. So beyond the norm of going in and picking out a book or grabbing a DVD, or do you still have DVDs?
Yes.
You do, right? Is that still a thing? I know. It's sort of it's like my cassette collection is probably my next media collection to go. But
right. Well, a lot of libraries have gone to like providing a streaming service.
Do they actually from the library? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's really expensive, and we would end up having to pay every time someone would watch a movie. We'd pay for it, and it's just, to me, it's just like I can't take that step. And people seem happy with DVDs still, so we're going to stay with that for a while.
Yeah, they work, they're fairly bulletproof. Did you get rid of your VHS tapes?
We don't have any VHS.
No VHS? Okay.
No cassettes, yeah.
Oh, gosh. It's fascinating in our lifetimes, the progress of technology. Gee, I'm doing some things I never thought I'd do, It's gosh, so it's been great. In fact, I think the first event I was involved with is before I really was involved in much of anything, but I helped out at an early Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead event there in the community room. We had the marigolds and the altars I did one for my mother, and it was a collaboration with Yuba Sutter Arts Council. And again, I was just, I think I may have been on the board at that point, but yeah. So, but again, that library is again, more than just a repository of books, as a real cultural center. And so we thank you for all that you've done in that regard. In fact, you mentioned, did you call it the Technology Center? I know do you still have the 3D printer and the...
Right. Yeah, and that's something we have a VR set up. So I think we can have we have four to six headsets for VR. So, and that's been really fun for people, mostly teenagers, but we've also had other people come in, including our adult education students who are learning English, and we've done some VR with them, and that was really fun. But the 3D printer is something that we've had for quite a while, and we would take orders from people. They'd ask us to print something, and then we just print it and then call them when it's ready. But
really,
our children's services coordinator, Shalise Eggleston, she's amazing. I mean, she does all of our children's programming, and she knows how to repair a 3D printer. So she has kept our 3D printer running, and she loves that mechanical stuff. And so that's been cool. And then she's also worked with a really generous donor in the community to do kind of a makerspace with sewing machines. So we have sewing machines, and people could come in and sew whatever they want. We had tons of fabric and yarn and all kinds of things, so people could come in and create what they wanted.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of textiles. So
I obviously haven't been in a while. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, so that's been really fun. And
let's do a quilting workshop. We know some quilters.
Hey, we could do that.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. How many machines do you have?
We have 4 sewing machines.
Really? That's amazing.
And so we're hoping that with our innovation center to include a sound booth, so people who might want to do podcasting or something like that, or just come in and record for themselves, they can do that here. So
that's designed into the remodel,
right?
Oh, nice. And where will that be in the building?
So where our front desk is located right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's all being torn out, and then the wall behind the front desk is also being torn out. And
that's in space. Okay, in the back.
Yeah. So This
Wow.
will help people who don't know, kind of, it goes all the way back to my office. So that wall where my office is going to,
You keep your office. You still get the office.
yeah, I'll
Oh,
get my office. They're going to put a new door in so I can get into it. So,
oh my
but,
gosh.
yeah, it'll be a nice space that will include all kinds of just fun technology for people to try out and to use. And then we're also going to have a meeting room and for the public to use, as well as 2 study rooms. Just use a lot of glass so we can see through the building. But
So is this in addition to the community room? Will that stay there, or
the community room will stay where it is. Yeah.
are you getting additional meeting rooms? Oh, that's
Right. We'll
nice.
have an additional space. So yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So what? Shifting gears abruptly, I assume you've visited libraries in other places. Do you have any favorites or
Yes.
ones you've been to? And
Oh, so many. Probably my favorite, like, American traditional public library is the Boston Public Library.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, the architecture is just amazing.
we were there in February. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just did a wonderful job of, like, when you walk in, it's very welcoming, but very modern. A lot of technology on display, all the newer books on display. But then as you make your way further in, then you have that traditional library, and
It's almost like the Crocker, the old Crocker and the new Crocker. You know what I mean? That thing really can be effective.
Anyway, yeah, they did a wonderful job with that. And so I would say the Boston Public Library for kind of that traditional, and then for like a modern American public library, the Austin, Texas Public Library, it's amazing. It's just the most amazing building. They have all kinds of outdoor areas, even like several floors up. There's like these, I would call them like a screened in porch, except they're, made of steel and everything. But like for people to just sit and study and read. And they have a rooftop garden with a live oak tree that was on the original site of the library. And they saved it, and then they took a crane and they lifted it and planted it on the roof of the building. And
my gosh!
It's such an amazing building.
And
then of course, Chicago Public Library has the beautiful winter garden on the top floor.
That's the one with the lions, right out front. Yeah.
I would just love to go back there, and then. Outside of the U.S., of course, the British Library in London is amazing. They've got everything from the Magna Carta to like Beatles lyrics where they wrote them on a piece of scrap paper or whatever. It's like, such amazing contrast of things, that they have. So, yeah, those are probably my favorites that I've seen. But there's some amazing ones that I haven't. So.
Any on the dream vacation list for library tourism, or?
Yeah, it'd probably be a trip around the world.
Yeah. Top 2 or 3?
In Helsinki, Finland.
Okay.
The library there, everything I've seen about it, just an amazing, amazing building. I'm into architecture. That's what it started when I went from high school to college. I was like, I'm going to be an architect. Well, that didn't work. But anyway, Helsinki, Finland, Calgary, Canada. They have a really incredible library that is kind of built on top of their transit system, so that you have the trains coming in under the library, and it's just, it's
easy.
Else.
Is there a stop there, so it's easy access? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then there's this one in Tianjin, China. It's a new library. It looks fascinating to me. Just, I don't know how they did what they did, but I really love to see it. So
I gotta look some of these up. Gee, exciting. I can share a couple of stories. My son went to. It's funny you mentioned Austin. He thought about going to the University of Texas for his master's in music, and so we spent a lot of time there. Darn it, we didn't go to the library, but he did wind up going to the Johns Hopkins Peabody Conservatory of Music and the George Peabody Library right there in downtown Baltimore is another one of those that's kind of old school, and of course, heavy music score collection, but everything else that a university library ought to have. But
Right.
it's you look at the pictures and it's, I don't know, 8 or 10
Yeah.
stories, and it's just
Yeah.
rows and all the baroque wrought iron work, and it's just
Well,
gorgeous.
and then they have the Harry Ransom Center there.
That's right. That's right.
Really an amazing place, and yeah, some.
Good stuff.
My brother works for University of Texas, so at Austin. So.
And then my other favorite, one of the great experiences I had when living in Washington, D.C. those 20 years is I had an actor friend who was working on a Shakespeare play or a series of plays, and he wanted me to go to the Library of Congress. I know this may have been 20 plus years ago. Maybe it wasn't as easy to research online, but he asked me to go to the Library of Congress and see if I could find any old Shakespeare satires or parodies in the stacks. And what do I know? I called the Library of Congress. They said, sure, come on down. So I go to the old Jefferson building. They have the new Madison building just a couple of blocks away, of course. But so I go in, and all of a sudden I'm in the great reading room at the Library of Congress. And I was obviously overwhelmed. And so I get my little spot at the desk, and I fill out my card. And next thing you know, they're bringing me stacks of 100, 200, 250-year-old books. And I'm sitting there like thumbing through them without any kind of like restrictions.
Right.
And there was a copier room in the back. I could go in there and make my copies of what I found. And it was just so awe-inspiring, being in, of course, talk about architecture, that huge domed.
Right.
So, yeah.
It is. It's those spaces. Yeah, I forgot about Library of Congress. That's like amazing building. And yeah, that just like, you have this hushed tone. You wouldn't dare
misbehave or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It was just a beautiful experience, and I got to do that a couple of times, and really appreciated my friend prompting me to do it. So, and I'm not a scholar or anything, but it was just a great experience to be there, and loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked a little bit about the whole idea of libraries being reinvented as more than just a stack of books. You told me a few years ago when we were talking about, I think, the mural project in Live Oak that I want to touch on. But and is it an ongoing series or a particular conference that you went to with the Aspen Institute, or was that sort of a reimagining of libraries, or am I misremembering?
Right. So it was something that I had started working with them in order to come up with kind of a plan for our library. I was looking for a type of strategic plan, or even like just some kind of direction. And so I started. I had a connection in NorthNet who had a connection with. She's an Aspen Fellow, and
that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
The whole Aspen Institute thing is, I know just a little bit about it, and
yeah. Well, and she was also the public library director in Seattle, and she was she's done everything. Oh, she was the state librarian in California, and she was also she was the head of the Institute of Museums and Library Services, so IMLS. So anyway, she was a great help. Anyway, she told me, you need to apply for the Aspen Institute. They're looking for 5 libraries to around the nation to do this re-envisioning. And so I did, and it kind of took off from there. So we were chosen as one of the 5, and what we did is we put together public dialogues to get kind of some information from our public. So we had different groups. We met with kind of the youth, some teenagers, maybe some early 20s, and we met with people who were just kind of, I guess in a way, miscellaneous. They just working people in the community who didn't use the library very much. And we talked to what they called kind of the people who had roots here, like people who'd lived here forever.
It sounds like a series of focus groups.
Right. So we had 4 of those, and kind of gathered a lot of information from people, and then that then was used to inform a leadership roundtable. And so then Aspen just did all of this basically for me. It was really great.
Wow.
They did all the inviting. They made sure people came. So we had, local leaders from the city and the county, as well as we had the state librarian there. We had someone from the New York Public Library board there. It was just a really great group of people who then took the information that was gathered in the community and kind of helped us come up with a plan. Like, here are 6 things to do, that to kind of move forward. And so, really, in a way, this project we're doing now, the remodel, is kind of one of the last things on the list.
Okay.
And so that's it's been really great having that. So once this is finished, I've got to figure out something again.
Yeah, right. What's the next generation going to want?
Right.
Well, it's really neat to go through a process like that and come away with action items that you can actually act on, and then wind up with the culmination of this amazing remodel. That's really a great story.
Right. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Excellent experience and people to work with there. So.
Well, and you've taken it to heart. I mean, again, so many things that you offer, and getting through these unusual times, and we'll get out the other side at some point, but get back into business and doing all of those other things that maybe can't do right now. So I know part of that Aspen Institute experience informed the development of the mural that we did up in Live Oak at is that the Barber Branch? Am I remembering that correctly?
Right, that's right.
You've done that wonderful remodel up there a couple of years ago. We put out a call to artists, and then our good friend muralist Rebecca Wallace came up with a kind of a sprawling design with people reading, and we kind of worked on it and massaged the design, young people, old people, and just I think it's 70 or 80 feet long on that north wall. It's just
it's really well done. I love driving up there and looking at that mural. It's just,
I know, just kind of, it's one of those that makes you smile, and if you spend a minute, it might even make you think. And I loved her title. It's called Connected, and if I could just read just a couple lines from her artist statement about it. We have it actually on the wall on the lower right corner, but Rebecca said, "This design was inspired by the many unique ways that the public library contributes to our society today. The contemporary neighborhood library is an extraordinary platform for innovation, one that embraces new forms of knowledge and technology and fosters valuable relationships within our communities. Connected highlights the library as a space of learning, one that sprouts fresh ideas and nurtures their growth to fruition. Above all, the library is shown as a collective space that welcomes all ages and people." So, we just love it. We love Rebecca. She's moved to Mendocino.
Oh, really?
Teaching at the junior college there. And I'm sorry, she actually moved to Fort Bragg, but she's over there in, God's country, God's other country.
Yeah.
This is God's country too. And, but we just worked with her 2 months ago in Live Oak on another project on the AT&T building right behind Live Oak City Hall. If you all haven't seen this and you're a fan of mural art, do take a look at our Facebook page or go see it. It's a beautiful, it's called an anamorphic mural, where if you stand in the right place across the street or in the corner, it's got a 3D effect. And it was designed by our friend Stefan Sellier, who went back to France on vacation and got locked in his native country, couldn't get back because of COVID. So we paid him an artist fee, and we were able to hire Rebecca to create his mural on that building, which took me 3 years, by the way, to get approval for. So thank you, AT&T. Wonderful woman in Sacramento we worked with, Alice Perez, was very patient. I was very persistent. And we finally, because we love the concept. So anyway, I digress. What other major changes do libraries face, do you think? Is it just a matter of staying relevant? I mean, I think we've kind of kicked that around, and how do you stay in front of people and engage with the community?
Right. It's interesting. how often I hear people say, well, now that there's the internet, we don't really need libraries anymore, or you must not be very busy because there's the internet now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the opposite. I mean, you look at the numbers for libraries across the country and the number of in circulation, which is how many items are checked out. They're high. The numbers are really high. People continue to want books. We do offer ebooks and e-audiobooks as well, and people use that. And it was really popular for a while, and then it kind of leveled off. But it's staying, at a pretty high level. But people just continue to be interested, and it's not something of the past, or it's not just old people reading. It's reading books, but we have all ages, and that's an encouraging thing to see that. I think some of the challenges we face sometimes are people who don't use the library but speak for the library, and they'll just say things like, well, the library is there's just crime there, or it's just a day shelter for people, and it's dirty, or what, it's like there's this narrative out there that isn't even true. It's just a busy place. It's pre-COVID, and I think again it will be, but people using the library, lots of families, lots of kids, teenagers in here after school. It's just it's not like a dusty old place, or just a place where you have people sleeping in the furniture. It's 99% of our patrons are just incredibly great people who do great things and are and in some ways engaged in learning and in kind of bettering themselves. So
no, that's so great to hear, James, and interesting that you cover all those different demographics, and that's so critical. And so is the circulation number, is that one of your key metrics?
It's one of them. Yeah. We also have there's things we do. We count like how many people come through the door.
Okay, just a traffic count. Yeah.
Right, and then we count obviously how many books are going in and out of the building. We count the number of cards, new library cards that we are that people are applying for, and that number stays high. It's always over 40,000, between 40 and 45,000. And that's even with, we always delete cards that haven't been used for a few years. We just
okay. I was going to say they don't officially expire, but you do.
So
term them out.
Yeah. So we're not just keeping people on to show we have a high number. We just eliminate the cards that aren't being used. So those types of numbers. We also have, our adult literacy program. So we have a large number of people who attend our English classes and our citizenship classes. Generally, we serve about 700 students a year through that program, and we have a classroom at Mahal Plaza on Franklin Road. We have worked with a couple of the elementary schools in the area to have classrooms there, so we teach English to parents who are walking their kids to school, and then they just stay.
Satellite classrooms run by the library on the school campuses.
Right.
Oh,
right.
I had no idea.
So then we teach English then to the parents who bring their kids to school in the morning. They stay for a couple hours, and we have instruction that way as well. So there's it's not just the number coming through the door here. We have things going on throughout the community. So
various other programs that you monitor and track, and
right.
No, and Isla runs all of that. That Isla runs the
she and Tejinder Kaur. So Tejinder is kind of our citizenship. She's like genius at it, and everyone who's dealt with anything citizenship related knows Tejinder. She's
okay. Well, before we maybe embark on our final 10 questions here, but what about the fantasy thing? You've touched on this a little bit, but if money were no object, you were building a epic library from scratch, what might it look like, or what might it have in your wildest imaginings that would really just be epic?
Well, if money were no object, so the library, it would have a lot of outdoor spaces
Yeah,
included in it.
in this area, of course, we need that. Yeah, good point.
Right. And also, I mean, we're always going to have books.
Yeah,
No
correct.
question about it. But more technology, like using technology to help people, whether it's to just educate themselves for their own self, or to help them along in their career, or whatever they hope to do. But I think robots will be a big part of it. I mean, robots are being used in other libraries. Some
Really?
places you have special collections that are all hidden. You don't see the books at all. They're in a warehouse part of the library, and a robot will retrieve them and then it gets brought to the front desk that way. So that, and it's not like a R2D2 or something, but it's basically an arm, that opens a bin, gets the right book.
And that's already happening. That's happening today.
Yeah, that's happening in a lot of places already. So,
Gee.
and so I think also like a hybrid education center. We're seeing libraries already have done that. We've always been a place where people come and learn. It's not like a formal education, but it's a way to find out maybe what you want to do, or to just teach yourself something. And I think it's always been happening, but it's going to be emphasized in new ways, and people will be able to come to the library and learn from others. So,
oh, good stuff. Next lifetime. Yeah, can't wait. Oh, this has been so much fun. What happened to the hour? As you may know, we like to wrap up with asking our guests the 10 questions that James Lipton used to ask the mainly actors, but artists that he would interview on his Actors Studio program. So, without further ado, let's give it a whirl. So, James, what is your favorite word?
Right now, it's going to be surprising. It's the word doing.
Doing.
And it's because my granddaughter, she gets busy and she just keeps saying doing. Doing.
Oh, I love it. What is your least favorite word?
Can't. I don't like when people say we can't do something. So,
like it. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think reading covers so much of that. So you can read whatever needs to be read at the time to feed whatever needs to be fed. So I'd say reading.
Absolutely. And what turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Well, I think anger, including my own, it shuts everything down. So that would be the one.
That's the truth. All right, a little edgy here. What is your favorite curse word?
I wrote down something. I wrote, "Dang it, David." I actually don't know if I have a favorite.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so many.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's a variety to choose from. So
that's a legit answer, right? Yeah. I know. What sound or noise do you love?
I really like quiet. Like when I take the dog for a walk in the morning, like around a little before 7 o'clock in the morning, when it's kind of foggy and it's just like the fog seems to like make things kind of quiet and muffled. I really like that. Whatever sound is out there.
You're making me think of the Carl Sandburg poem. Something about the fog comes in on little cat's feet or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Rings a bell. What sound or noise do you hate? Dislike. Sorry.
This is kind of an odd one, but I guess remember the movies? Do you remember when we used to go to movies?
Yeah, it rings a dim gong, but yes, I do recall.
Okay, so I really dislike that the Coke being poured over the ice. And the reason I hate it is because I fall for that kind of the Pavlovian response. And I don't even like soda. But it's like, it just makes me want to jump up and like,
cringe.
Buy something I don't want. It's like, how do they do that? I don't understand that. But it kind of irritates me. So.
Very original answer, James. Thank you. That's a first. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I attempted architecture,
Yeah.
and I would still love to do that. So,
Okay. What profession would you not like to pursue?
that would have to be a surgeon, because there'd be so many disappointed and there's some really sad cases if I was a surgeon. So,
Okay, well, good. Glad you pursued other other interests. All right, and last if not least, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
well, I am a believer, so I guess I would have to say, well done, good and faithful servant.
Ah, sweet. Beautiful. James, what have we left out? Anything else you'd like to share, pass on? Words of
Just,
wisdom in these difficult times
I
that are
don't know.
challenging on so many levels?
I guess I was, you kind of want people not to forget you're here, but I don't know. We're still busy. Our patrons are still ordering things like crazy, so I don't think we're forgotten.
Yeah.
Just kind of miss everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing people again, and just kind of figuring out who's who in the community and who needs to meet who. And you do that all the time, and it's like it's one of those things that it's fun when you find people that you think this person ought to meet this person, and
Yes.
so I miss that kind of stuff. But
Absolutely. I know we all do. But good to know you're there. You're alive and well and serving the community, and services are available. So don't forget our good friends at the libraries in Sutter County, and our good friend Sandeep at the Yuba County Library as well. So
yeah,
they're doing good things, online programs, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing until we can do it that other way someday.
right.
Thank you, James.
Thank
Stay
you,
safe,
David.
be well. Best to your family. Thanks also to our technical support team, producer Abby Cecina, technical director in the background there, Alex Cecina and Shante Arroyo. In 2 weeks, we're doing this every other week now. January 26th, our guest will be ceramist Chris Thompson. That's my new word that I've learned, not ceramic artist. He likes to be referred to as a ceramist. Anyway, master ceramist Chris Thompson's done a lot of amazing ceramics projects, and he's a frequent visitor here in Yuba Sutter. Until then, that's it for this week's Artist Alchemy. Lots more virtual events coming up at Yuba Sutter Arts. Keep us in mind on Facebook, YubaSutterArts.org. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.